On today's episode of Two Guys, One Coup, we're going to talk a little bit about some universities. One in Washington, one in the beautiful state of California. There's also a business in San Francisco that has a little threat about taxes that Jim will go into. California is banning electric cars, so we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm not banning. Sorry, California is banning gas-powered vehicles. Yeah, right. We'll go into details about that. We have an interview with Alyssa Hines. She is the vice chair for the Hillsborough County, Florida Moms for Liberty group. You are definitely going to want to hear this interview. Some very interesting things that Jim and I both learned. And lastly, Jim's confused about his gender. All that and much, much more on this episode of Jim.
Two Guys, One Coup.
You got it. Be right back.
Welcome to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim, where the truth matters and progressives' feelings don't. We bring you the facts from the perspective of two average, everyday guys who will never apologize for being America first, for adhering to our great Constitution, and for saluting the flag that our brothers and sisters have fought and died for. And now, here's Dale and Jim.
Our openings, Jim, are getting less and less professional.
You have to prepare me. I don't.
Even I'm screwing up. You know, Jim, when you get together with somebody and
people expect you to screw up,
and their attitude or their ability, such as yours,
or lack thereof,
brings it down. Like instead of me lifting you up to my level, as I've tried for years to do, I seem to be coming down. To your level of professionalism.
Is that what it is?
I think that's what's happening. It's like when I golf with you, Jim. I golf crappier. Why? Because you're a crappy golfer. You know.
First of all, when we're either one of us real professional, I need.
I like to go on record as saying that never.
When we do interviews, I think we're pretty good.
I think we're pretty good. Yeah. We do okay on interviews. We do. We're less professional, as we should be, because that's who we are. Yep. We're just two dudes, right? Just hanging out, chatting, chitty-chatting. Man, we got an episode today, Jim, of all sorts of things to talk about.
Wow.
Oddly enough, a lot of it is California.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
Well, things seem to start in California and then kind of work its way back this way. So
I don't know how it gets through the middle of the country.
What I'm going to go through here on the first thing, if it doesn't confuse you, then hey, I mean, good job, way to go.
Yeah, if you understand it, please somebody, us stupid laymen, we don't get it. We don't get what they're talking about. We'll explain in a minute, but I want to go and Joe Biden yesterday gave a speech in Pennsylvania to a less than packed high school gym, to preach about AR-15s and about how fascists you and I are, and every Trump supporter out there, the great unifier, isn't he? I mean, he just brings people together. Joe
and on
Biden.
CNN, they told him it was most powerful speech since he's become president.
Yep. Most powerful. That what he said. I mean, it's great because it came from Joe's heart.
But CNN still hasn't had the story on Zuckerberg yet, though. With the FBI.
They have not.
Anyway, but go ahead.
Oh, that's true. So Jim and I looked at that up afterward. We looked up Zuckerberg. We looked up all this school stuff. We looked at CNN. We looked at multiple different liberal. Nothing.
On page one. Okay, I didn't look to page two, so maybe it's deep page two or three or something. But it's not in there today either. To me, that's a pretty big story.
It's a pretty big story. Especially since Zuckerberg, I feel, was lying about some of it, anyways. But that's just me.
Well, it still doesn't make any sense why he come out. Why? What was he trying to do?
It still just aggravates me because he's such a whiny liberal that it doesn't. I mean, he gives zero money to conservative causes and candidates.
There's something amiss here. There just is. I don't know if he was trying to set Rogan up or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead with your Joe.
Nah, just talking about Joe Biden. So in his speech yesterday, I mean, after, a day after he's called, all Trump supporters semi-fascist and all that, the headline reads as such. And I'm not going to read the story because I don't want to make it a story, but it says, Biden says, "How are you, baby? How old are you?" at rally. But it gets worse. So that's the headline. I'm like, well, what did Creepy Joe say today?
Mm-hmm.
President Joe Biden should not be talking to children. He shouldn't be talking to or about teenagers either. Quite frankly, he ought to not address or talk about anyone under the age of 21 for the remainder of his presidency. That's how it starts. I'm like, holy crap, what did he say?
Oh, my God.
Yet again, the president is in hot water for an odd comment to a minor. This time it's for what he said to a girl in the audience at an event in Pennsylvania. So at the school in Pennsylvania. The Tuesday speech was intended to boost Biden's bid to ban so-called assault weapons and to defend the FBI in the wake of the raid on Mar-a-Lago. Quote, "It's sickening to see the new attacks on the FBI threatening the life of law enforcement and their families for simply carrying out the law and doing their job." Before I go any further, you did see the pictures that they posted, didn't you, of all the top secret documents that and how they were all just kind of laid out nicely on the carpet there and framed just for the picture. Well, how'd they do that?
Yeah.
But it's just like documents from 2018. It's like it's a scam. But anyways, Biden told the crowd at Wilkes University, a small private college about 100. Sorry, it was a college, Jim. 100 miles north of west of Philadelphia. That kind of attempt at feisty talk is undermined, however, by bizarre moments like this. Joe says, "How are you, baby? How old are you? How old are you?" He repeats. He asked the girl in the audience. 9, she responded. "You're almost double figures," Biden said. If that sounds strange to you, consider the fact that it's not the first time Biden's used questionable language when talking to young girls. Now, do I think it's questionable language? I mean, Joe's creepy. We know from his daughter's diary. He just tends to flock towards that kind
sniffing
of
their hair or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I think you remember March of 2021, Joe Biden looks at a little girl in the audience, the daughter of a veteran, and says, "I love those barrettes in your hair. Man, I'll tell you what, look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there like a little lady with her legs crossed." That's creepy to me. There's no reason for him to say that. So he says here, the girl's mother had introduced the president post-report. That's that kind of thing. But earlier in the month, former Trump administrative secretary in education Betsy DeVos recalled to Megyn Kelly how her personal space was invaded by Biden during a creepy encounter before her involvement in federal politics. "I was in a wheelchair. I was backstage after speaking," she told Megyn Kelly. "He came up to me, put his hands on my shoulders and his forehead on my forehead for several seconds and had a conversation with me." DeVos said she hadn't met Biden before this occasion. A social media user noted that something decisively odd about a man about calling an obviously young girl baby. That goes back to that story. I just kind of wanted to open with that because it has nothing to do with why he was there. He just always flocks creepingly towards these little girls, and he's always touching them. We've seen it 100 times. And then, of course, the diary comes out. The people get arrested. We talked about it last episode. There's a pattern here with this pedophile. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's one thing to just be like, "Oh, hi," do you do that in public? You see a little girl and you say, "Hey, how old are you, little girl?"
No, but I have a lot of women I meet for the first time. I go forehead to forehead all the time.
Me too. I mean, I've never met.
And then my wife
especially
beats
if they're in
the
a wheelchair.
shit out of me.
I mean, why would he do that to Betsy DeVos? I have no idea. God. But, all this in the wake of the Ashley Biden diary and all the stories that come out that you, again, go to CNN. Don't think you'll see any of that.
Nothing.
But it is Joe's just creepy all the time. And the fact that he now has, demonized half of America by calling us fascists which is great. Here we go again. You know, here we are, the fascists. We love America. We want America first. We believe in the Constitution, and that's fascism.
We read the actual definition of fascism, not
we did
the Wikipedia,
not Wikipedia's,
but the actual definition, and it does not sound like conservatives.
It doesn't sound like conservatives to me, but Jim, maybe we are fascists. Maybe we're just blind to it. I mean, if fascist means now, and I could probably go into Wikipedia and just enter a new definition. If fascism means now that I want parents involved in schools, I don't want minors having transgender surgeries. I don't want very descriptive and pornographic books taught to minors in school. I believe in America, less government. I believe in the Constitution of the United States. I believe we're a sovereign nation and we are a republic. If that means fascism, call me fascist.
And work.
If that's a new definition. Work for what you earn and pay back your loans if you take one out. I mean, simple things like this.
I guess that's fascism, right? Huh? Wow.
I guess that's fascism. I guess I'm a fascist.
Accountability for oneself. Okay.
You fascist, Jim.
I know. That's terrible.
Come on, you're not living off the government. You know, that's where they need you at. So I just kind of wanted to go in a little bit about Joe Biden. We got a long show. We got a lot to talk about. Jim, you got anything to add before we get into?
No, that man. This whole thing is this.
There's so much we can talk about with this guy. It's just crazy.
I mean, we could go into a lot more detail about the student loan debt because now they figured out how they're paying for it. They're just adding it to the national debt that they saved money on and reduced it, which they didn't reduce the national debt, folks. It's lower. Not. It's down from, like, let's say 2020, only because in 2020 they added that $1 trillion for COVID.
Yep.
They didn't do that.
Yep.
They didn't do that this time. That's why it's down.
That's why.
So they think they have all this extra money now to spend. It's like, oh my God.
And with the new IRS agents, they probably will get.
These people are running our country, folks.
Yep,
they're running our country.
And they're running our country into the ground. Yep. Is what they're doing on purpose and by design.
Yep.
So every day we see it. So Jim, let's get into the show today. I would like for you to go first because I want to help you therapeutically with your confusion on genders. So you're up, Big Jim.
Okay.
6
Might have
seconds.
been 6 seconds, but that's okay.
If you could just get to 5, that would be
okay. I'm going to try to get through this story. Dale and I are going to laugh a lot, I guarantee.
I have not heard this story. I didn't review
There is a California district curriculum that claims there are 10 sexual orientations.
10 sexual orientations.
Including...
Wait. Okay, go on.
Scolio. Sexual. And gynosexual.
So wait, is scoliosexual? If I had to just take the words and break it down, I would think it's you're attracted to people with hunchbacks.
That's kind of what I would.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not.
No.
Scoliosis? It's not. Okay.
A California district called Newport Mesa's health education textbooks claim there are over 10 sexual orientations and 8 genders.
8 genders. Okay. Only 8 though, right? I mean, that's okay.
Okay. A gender.
Oh, okay. Well, so are we going through the
genders? I'm doing genders first, okay?
A gender.
A gender. Having a gender identity that does not align with any gender. Also called general neutral.
Wait, having a gender that doesn't align with a gender.
Yep.
Is a gender.
Yep.
Who made this? Who is this made up?
It's a textbook.
In the school.
Yeah. Androgynous, I think. Exhibiting masculine and feminine traits equally.
Oh, okay. So kind of like if I had to think
Michelle Obama. By gender, having gender identity that includes two genders.
Wait a second. So you could be any. Well, there's 8 of them, so you just pick 2, and now you are bi gender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cisgender, having a gender identity that matches one's biological sex assigned at birth.
Oh, you mean like normal
gender?
Gender. It's just called gender. Okay, so you're gender. Okay.
Gender fluid, having a changing or fluid gender identity, which means I could be pansexual this time, or I could be bigender.
Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Whenever you want.
Whenever it suits you.
Whenever it's how convenient of that term. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Gender nonconforming, having a gender identity that does not follow gender expectations based on a person's biological sex assigned at birth.
Wait a second.
Having a gender identity that does not follow gender expectations based on a person's biological sex assigned at birth.
We're back to Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gender questioning. Being unsure about one's gender identity or experimenting with different genders.
This is what? I don't. What?
Non-binary. Having a gender identity that falls outside or between the categories of man and woman. Also called genderqueer.
Wait. I don't understand them, Jim.
I told you. Okay, good. See?
Okay. I don't understand them. How are you non-binary? I can't. I don't want to. How you're out? You're not a man, nor you're not a male. You're nor a female. Mm-hmm. You are outside of that spectrum.
Right.
What are you? What? Then what are you?
I told you I am confused after reading this. I am completely confused.
Yeah. I thought Jim was going to be the only one confused about gender today. I also am highly confused about gender today.
Of course, Santa's with transgender, and we know what that is. We're not going to go into it. So, the Newport Mesa School District's curriculum also said that there are 10 different sexual orientations.
Come on. Wait, 8 genders, 10 sexual orientations. Okay.
Including androsexual.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Androsexual.
Andro. So
polysexual.
There's no definition for any of
this.
Yeah,
well, I'm kidding. Yeah, you ready?
What do you mean I'm getting? Well, you told me andro.
I know. I'm getting to that.
And you skipped right past it. Yeah, it is.
People who are attracted to masculine appearances, but who do not necessarily have to be present in men. For example, a woman who enjoys dressing masculine will also find herself attractive.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah.
I'm still confused.
Okay. There's bisexual. So, we know that.
So androsexual. So listen. So if you were attracted to a female who looked more masculine, like a male or something like that, then you are androsexual, right?
Yeah.
Because you would be attracted to. Okay, so Barack Obama's androsexual. I'm trying to figure it out, and I'm using them as examples only because you brought them up, Jim.
Or Brittany Griner or something like that. Or Ellen
Bill
DeGeneres.
Griner. Al. I'm gonna go. Sorry, I'm
okay. Gynosexuality.
That sounds
same case as andosexuality, but towards the feminine presentation of a person beyond their gender.
What? You're so attracted to women? That's the gyno portion of it. Sounds to me like that's what that means. But
now, demisexual.
Demi Moore. Okay.
A demisexual person is only attracted to a person after having an intellectual and emotional connection with that person, not before.
We called them nerds.
Graysexual. This is a branch of asexuality, with the difference that people who identify as graysexual sometimes do feel attracted to a person, but this happens very rarely, and most of the time they feel good under the name asexual too.
Why even have it? I don't get it. I'm lost.
Asexual, of course, one of the least recognized orientations in asexuality. It refers to people who are not attracted to a gender and who do not find sex or relationships interesting. And yes, living without sex is possible. Polysexual is orientation in which people are attracted to two or more genders. In theory, pansexuality and bisexuality are types of polysexualism, although not everyone identifies with this in the same way. Somebody.
I'm not even trying to make fun of the
time.
Yes. To make these up, honestly. These are made up. There's no, I mean, how many people on earth are this way? I'm not saying homosexual or heterosexual. I get those two. I even get bisexual, right? Mm-hmm. After that, I don't get how I'm attracted to somebody for which I am not attracted to, for which sex doesn't matter. I don't need sex, but yet I am still attracted to them without
the only sexualities that I will, heterosexual.
Correct.
Homosexual.
Correct.
Bisexual.
That's it.
Because transsexual is you're attracted to somebody dressed or wants to be that, but you're attracted to a man or a woman.
Yeah.
So,
those
are the only sexualities, folks. You can sit here and throw all this shit out there if you want to feel better about yourself, but this is stupid. I mean, I'm sorry.
This is the
dumbest
thing I've ever seen.
This is a school, okay? that is
it's a book and within a school.
Yeah,
that's a curriculum.
They are sexualizing our kids and normalizing sexual behavior at a young age. A mom in a district said, "We are placing them in a situation where they think this is safe, that this is healthy. This is how we show love." And so they are being exploited by very evil people. I mean, go up to a middle school kid and give them a list of sexualities and ask them what you are.
Yeah.
Well, my girlfriend, sometimes she wears jeans and a T-shirt. So am I?
I must be bi
or whatever sexual that is for a man. Because apparently,
apparently,
jeans and a T-shirt is a masculine way to dress.
Apparently,
I don't know.
Well, I mean, back in Victorian days, you certainly wouldn't see women in pants. But
now they got romantic orientations. Okay, now there's more of them, but I'm just going to go over real quick because I don't want to.
Wait a second. So we had sexual, gender, and romantic orientations. Yeah. What's the difference?
This is the one we might have a problem getting through. Okay.
Okay.
Abro. Now this is in this book.
Cadabro.
In this book, at a school, in a curriculum. Curriculum, folks. This is not, hey, it's in the library, here you go. This is a curriculum.
And you can buy this book now on Amazon for $122.
Yep. Oh, yeah, you looked that up too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so the first one is called abroromantic. People experience their romantic orientation as fluid and or changing over time. Although other kinds of fluidity may involve changes in the genders one is attracted to, aberomanicism involves someone's entire orientation changing over time. The intensity of their attractions may change as well. There are no set schedule experienced by all aberomanic people. It may fluctuate between hours, days, weeks, months, or even years for their orientations to change. Some aberomanic individuals do have their own fixed patterns or schedules, but not all. Some may be fluid between a few orientations, while others are fluid between several.
I don't get it. I'm lost. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not a rock. I don't get. I mean, I'm not an intellectual type of person. I understand that. I mean, I am what I am.
Aromantic often refers to aro. Describes people who do not experience romantic attraction or experience little to no romantic attraction.
Aro spelled how?
A-R-O.
Oh, so okay.
Anyway, biometric is a term used to describe people who are capable of feeling a romantic connection to people of two specific or distinct gender identities.
Bi.
Yeah, isn't that bisexual?
But these are romantic. Yeah, these
okay,
are romantic,
bisexual.
so-
If you're bisexual, you're romantically inclined to a man or a woman.
Still.
I didn't mean to yell at you, Dale. I'm sorry.
Yell away.
Hetero-romantic.
I don't even know how they spell it.
Also,
Hetero-romantic.
basically, it's taking what we talked about in the sexual orientations, and now they're adding romantic to it. I don't know why. Somebody was really bored. Also, sometimes referred to as scolioromantic, is a romantic orientation where a person is romantically attracted to a non-binary genders.
Wait a second. These aren't real. I'm telling you, one freak walked into a therapist and said, "Hey, I am sexually and both non-sexually attracted to both men and women, but I'm also sexually and non-sexually attracted to one who identifies as neither." Well, we better come up with a name for this weirdo. So, I mean,
they have. He's a heteromantic.
What? I feel like I'm bashing all of these people that identify as all these things.
I'm bashing away.
Sorry. I think because it's mentally.
Stupid.
This is a mental disorder.
Come on. Panoromantic is a term used to describe people who are capable of feeling romantic attractions towards people regardless of their sex and gender identity. Bisexual.
Wait.
Right? I mean,
you love everybody. You're bisexual, basically.
This is the equivalent of pansexual.
Oh, is that what pansexual means now? I've heard the term. Yeah. You know? Jim, I can't.
Polyromantic refers to someone who is randomly attracted to many, if not all, genders and not necessarily involve sexual attraction.
To me, that feels like that's poly, which stems from the Latin term polymer. I think is, of course I made that up. I think that's an attraction to like inflatable dolls, let's say. I mean, that's what it's.
Well, you know what? The inflatable doll does not identify.
Correct.
As okay. Yeah. So in review, you got abroromantic, aromantic, biromantic, heteroromantic, demiromantic, heteroromantic, homoromantic, omniromantic.
Omni.
Yeah. That is where a person is attracted to all genders.
Oh my God.
Sometimes with preference for certain genders. It is often grouped with other. I'm seeing a lot of bisexual things here.
Bisexual. It's all bisexual except for the hetero and the homo, right? Hetero and homo, then it's bi.
So, folks,
now you know why, folks. The LBG folks want to get rid of the T's, the I's, the A's, the Z's, the W's, the X's. It's bizarro world out there.
Guys, again, this is in a curriculum.
How dare you?
Sorry, you're right. Guys, gals, pansexuals, bisexuals, animal histasis, bestiality, whatever the hell you guys want to call yourselves. This is in a school curriculum.
Yeah.
Our kids need to be learning math, science, and English. Not this shit that absolutely means nothing.
It's bizarre. It's confusing. It's bizarre. I understand calculus more than I understand those terminologies. It is ridiculous, and it's never ending. You say you gave us 10 of these, 8 of those, 12 of those. There's hundreds of them. Yeah. People are making crap up
and
every
day.
day.
And if you want to say that I am insensitive because I don't respect that, then I'm insensitive.
I'm insensitive.
Because I'm sorry.
Highly insensitive. Come on. It's ridiculous.
This is too much. This is too much. Our kids are confused more than ever now. They don't know what the hell they are, especially if you read this book. Who are you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah.
Anyway,
that's crazy, Jim. Well, thank you, Jim, for sharing all of that information.
And I just placed the order on Amazon, by the way.
I mean, who wouldn't want that book for $122? Money well spent. You know, it better come with better definitions of what each one means in that book. Because
those didn't describe it. And so you were making fun of me when I was reading these. You were making fun of me, like, "Oh, Jim's confused. Jim's confused." We're all confused now.
We're all confused. Jim did nothing to stop our confusion.
I thought
that's for sure.
I was heterosexual,
but
apparently not. I'm hetero-romantic. I could
I
be. I could be bio-romantic because bio-romantic because I go after one or another gender.
That's bio.
Well, yeah, that's what it says. I mean, I'm not attracted to a man, but because see, I'm confused. I love you to death, Dale, but not romantically. So I wonder what that's called.
I know. I think that's
friendship.
It's friendship. Where's that word? It used to be in there. Remember? We used to talk about it's called friends.
Oh my God.
Oh my Lord, Jim, that was phenomenal. We're moving on.
Yeah.
The next segment,
please.
Jim,
bring us back down to earth, Dale.
I always do. You lift us up. I bring us right back into serious world. I don't know how I got. That's not my role. I'm not the serious guy, so I don't know how this happened. But somehow the roles have switched here.
Jim saw the story.
Jim is bringing. I'm glad you did. This one is super long, so I'm going to keep it super short because we've got a long show to go. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the highlights. But the headline is UW, University of Washington, hid concerns over puberty blockers in trans study amid media praise. Leaked emails show. Jim, did you see this one?
Oh, yes, I did. Yep.
Probably some folks did. But I just I found it because of January Littlejohn. Mm-hmm. So thank you to her for that. That's probably where you saw it too.
No, it was actually a story on one of the outlets that I look at.
Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Jim. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your insight.
Name dropper.
Name dropper. I thanked her for providing this to everyone, and it's not getting the national media.
And I almost did it.
Deserves
on one of the last week's shows, but
I'm sure you did. Now, okay.
No, I'm serious. It was there. I'm not lying because I remember hearing about this.
Do you?
Go ahead.
Remember? Okay. Why don't you just tell the story, Jim? You know about it. Go ahead. I'll sit back and wait. You know. Why don't you just move on with the show yourself today. I mean, you are bringing the fun. I am not. That's anyways, eternal emails onto more serious issues from the University of Washington reveal how the institution stayed quiet regarding concerns about a study detailing the supposed benefits of experimental gender medicines in trans-identified youth amid growing media coverage. The research study titled Mental Health Outcomes in Transgender and Non-Binary Use Receiving Gender-Affirming Care. That's just the name of the study. Was published in February on JAMA Network, open in partnership with Seattle's Children's Hospital. JAMA Network, I don't know what that means. The report claimed that experimental puberty-blocking drugs yield positive mental health outcomes in trans-identified teenagers. Yet critics contend that how the study framed those supposed benefits were flawed and required edits to the promotional materials used to publicize the research. The university stopped promoting the study because the edits were so profound. But its communications office didn't respond to questions because it had received such fawning praise from the press.
Yep.
Imagine that, right? You know, our good, honest journalists out there. Emails obtained by the Seattle-based Jason Rantz show on talk radio station KTTH suggest that university officials ignored some pretty concerning claims in the study because the news coverage was so positive. The data that the researchers gathered was used to claim in a press release that so-called gender-affirming care, a euphemism trans activists use that refers to administering sterilizing hormones and medically unnecessary surgeries, dramatically reduces depression and is life-saving. That's what they claim. Now, we've heard that in the past. People claim that. Even in What is a Woman, I think if you've seen that, the lunatics in there have claimed that. The March press release also claimed that the research team found that such interventions caused rates of depression to plummet in adolescents who identify as non-binary or transgender and criticized efforts in conservative states, namely Idaho and Texas, aimed at restricting and more closely scrutinizing the experimental practices. A PhD candidate at a University of Washington medical student, also penned an op-ed in The Conversation praising the study, amplifying the claims and criticizing Republican efforts to criminalize dispensing puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones to children and teenagers. At the time, the Idaho State House had passed a bill making the provision of gender-affirming care a felony offense, and Texas State Child Safeguarding Agency had begun investigating the practices as abuse under the direction of Governor Greg Abbott and Attorney General Ken Paxton. However, the study's data seemingly revealed virtually no statistically significant mental health improvement among those who received so-called gender-affirming care. The claims of the University of Washington press release were challenged in meticulous detail by journalist Jesse Singal in an April 6th essay on Substack. Quote, among the kids who went on hormones, there isn't genuine statistical improvement here from baseline to the final wave of data collection. At baseline, 59% of the treatment-naive kids experienced moderate to severe depression. 12 months later, 56% of the kids on GAM experienced moderate to severe depression, so on gender-affirming medication. At baseline, 45% of the treatment-naive kids experienced self-harm or suicidal thoughts. 12 months later, 37% of the kids on these treatments did. These are not meaningful differences. The kids in the study arrived with what appear to be alarmingly high rates of mental health problems. Many of them went on blockers or hormones, and they exited the study with what appear to be alarmingly high rates of mental health problems. Mm-hmm. And that's immediately after, Jim. And we talk about what happens 7 to 10 years after this happens and the high rate of suicide. The leaked email correspondence shows Laura East, the University of Washington Department of Epidemiology spokesperson, voicing concerns about Singal's report and that she would not be promoting the study. Quote, the article resulting from the inquiry was recently posted on the author's Substack and includes some pretty concerning claims. UW Epidemiology, UW SPH, UW News will not be including this article in our media tracking or otherwise driving traffic to this piece, she wrote. Why would she want to hide it, right? E said she didn't think there was any need to respond more proactively as there is an overwhelmingly amount of positive coverage of the study's findings, and then went on to solicit ideas for any other actions or messaging with the study team. Other UW communications officials also spoke of the positive press they had received as a reason to say nothing more and refrain from clarifying their previous statements. Emails also show a spokesperson for University of Washington Medicine forwarding East's message to the UW Medicine communications manager. Quote, the email says, FYI, I read through his exceedingly long, very, very long article. UW Medicine Media Relations Manager Barbara Clements wrote to Susan Craig, another communications director, along with the forwarding email, quote, which claimed the research was flawed or at worst made up. Clements added, but given the extremely positive pickup by mainstream media, I would agree and just let this be.
Yeah. That was the one that caught me. That comment.
That's the one that caught me. There's also more to this story. And January, thank you again for sending it. And Jim, thank you again for researching it and finding it online. I appreciate it. But the serious fact is, guys, and you can go look at this study, just headline reads, UW hid concerns over puberty blockers and trans study amid media praise, leaked email show. How much of that's going on around the country?
No.
That's just University of Washington. We know all of the other. I have another story, and I can't get to it today, but it has to do with our good friends at the Boston Children's Hospital again, and more of what they're doing. I had some videos that unfortunately I can't seem to download that I wanted to play from other doctors around the country, San Francisco being one, that talks about not just gender reaffirming surgery, but say you wanted both parts. You wanted a penis and a vagina. How they're now going about doing that. Yeah, Jim, it's pretty alarming. And if I can get the damn video, if not, I will just research it and I'll do a story on it next week. But it's these are Dr. Frankensteins. I said it before, and I'll say it again. That's what they are. I mean, they're just mutilating
what is
people, and they're mutilating minors.
Not to change the subject, but it kind of is on topic. Okay.
Yeah.
What other thing does it sound like that we're going through right now where the initial information did not include all relevant information? It only included information that helped their cause.
Well, it sounds like a raid on Mar-a-Lago by the FBI.
Well, but
that
climate change.
Oh, that too. Okay, so yeah. So I think we can go down a list of
exactly.
many things.
No, you name it.
Right.
I mean, this is what they do. Wait. We had 40 kids showed that they did get depressed. Oh, they did have some issues. You know what? Let's not count them.
Let's not count them.
Yeah.
Let's not leave them. We're getting positive press by out there, the journalists out there. Again, grown adults making decisions that are harming minors and harming our country
for a
in
small
general.
fraction of the country.
Small fraction of people that, if given time, I think would realize some other avenue besides completely mutilating your body and stopping puberty in its tracks.
And like we talked about,
given
you
it
listen
time
to mainstream media, you're not hearing this.
You're not hearing this. You're not hearing this
You're
at
thinking
all.
how wonderful all this stuff is. You're thinking how, these overreactions of these individuals. And it's not
the media manipulating a story again, just like Jim and I said, just go back to, they manipulated the Russian collusion with Trump. They manipulated the Ukraine call that so-called would lead to Trump's second impeachment. They completely ignored Hillary's emails. They completely ignored the FBI raid and redact everything from there. It's journalism, and it sucks. And this kind of crap's going on out there, and they don't give a shit about reporting the truth, which is just, it just makes me mad, Jim. Well, okay, I did it. I brought the crowd down. Jim, we're going to go on to another segment. Hopefully it's something uplifting and happy that you're going to speak about. So our audience doesn't become suicidal with how the stories I'm bringing them. But anyways, Jim, you are next. So make me happy. Go on.
I think Ohio State has a really good shot at winning the national championship. That makes me there's really nothing I can talk about there.
That make me happy. There really is nothing else you could.
Not when we have idiots
Buckeyes.
out there.
Go Buckeyes. Go on.
Anyway. Okay, so San Francisco businesses are threatening a tax strike if the city doesn't take care of the homeless people problem. Businesses is one of the
taxes then. Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to pay their taxes. Yep. Businesses is one of the San Francisco's trendiest neighborhoods are threatening to businesses in one of the San Francisco's trendiest neighborhoods are threatening to withhold tax payments unless woke politicians remove homeless people from the area and implement a stronger police presence. The
Good.
Castro Merchants Association, which represents 125 businesses, sent a letter to city officials earlier this month outlining 3 demands: 35 shelter beds for mentally ill and substance abusing individuals who have taken up residence in the Castro, monthly metrics on services offered to the homeless in the Castro, and a devised plan following a homeless person's refusal for services. San Francisco officials tallied nearly 8,000 homeless people in February, the second highest number since 2005, according to a city count that happens every 3 years. They need shelter and or services, and they need them immediately, the Merchants Association said. Our community is struggling to recover from lost business revenue from burglaries, never-ending vandalism, graffiti, often committed by unhoused persons, and we implore you to take action. Dave Carricker, a co-president of the association and co-owner of a gym in the Castro, told the San Francisco Chronicle that there have been multiple instances where people displaying bizarre behavior have walked into the gym and stolen weights and clothing, as well as smashed the business glass door. The association is also demanding more action from the city, including an increased police presence. We've seen it in a lot of different.
Good.
We hear.
I'm glad they're doing it, but
I mean, they're allowed to defecate in the streets. I mean, they show a picture in this one particular one that's a street right there in San Francisco, and there's tents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
people living on the streets. You got to. In the city I live in, we actually built a shelter. Mm-hmm. Now they can only be in there overnight, and they're not allowed to stay there all day and all that stuff. But they have shelters. Mm-hmm. This can be done. This can be done. This can be it can be helped. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're still going to have people living on the streets, but we need to try and fix this. Most of the people on the streets are most, and I think I'm correct when I say this, are alcoholics who've completely lost everything, drug addicts who completely lost everything, or mentally ill who are not taking their medications. Mm-hmm. And so, we need to stop woking everything and get down to the bare minimum and saying, okay, folks, you got to take your medication. I don't know how to make them. I have no clue. I don't know. But you got to fix the homeless. And I mean, San Francisco is one of the, I don't know why, I have no desire to go, but it's a city that in the United States that many people want to go to for vacations and stuff. Yep. We've talked about, Portland, Oregon, their issues with it. Seattle, Washington. There's some of these major leftist woke states. This is what's going on. Our cities. This is what's going on. And it's great. Businessmen finally standing up. I don't know how they can do it. I don't know how you can withhold it because that is against the law. You can get in trouble. But all the power to them, though. They're trying to figure this out by saying your policies of homeless and taking away the police's responsibility and the presence within our community is affecting our businesses. So amen to them. I mean, it's about time people start standing up, and I hope more people do. So
I hope they do too. I don't think that kind of thing doesn't fix the homeless issue, and I don't think I don't think their response is you need to fix the homeless issue because it's screwing up their business, and they need to.
Right.
They'll be homeless themselves if nobody comes to their business,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. So it just compounds and compounds. You do have to get them off the streets, and you do need to try to. But there's also a lot of them that are extremely capable of getting a job too.
I know. I agree with you 100%.
I'm not in that position. I'm not in that position to where I'm living on a street, thank God, where how would I even walk into a place and say, give me an application? You know what I mean? But you could, and it's hard. I don't understand. I don't know how to fix a homeless problem. I don't.
Is San Francisco like Portland? Is it a way of life?
Portland's.
I mean, it's a way of life for the young.
A lot of people.
For young people.
Portland's wacky. Again, I don't know. I feel terrible for homeless people. I also understand that there are some that could be helped. I don't know how far down my family chain I would have to go before I no longer could get any help or a place to live. So I mean, it happens. I mean, people do. They have nobody left, and then it just shit hits the fan for them, and they're, what else do they do? I don't know. I don't. This is a rough one because I don't know how to.
But not letting them
what
be,
the answer would be.
But not just letting them willy nilly be on the streets.
Correct.
One, it's not safe for them.
Correct.
And it's not
safe for people.
Right.
That aren't, and it's hurting businesses, and it's Nancy Pelosi's district.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
Amen.
So there you have it. But Jim, we're gonna move on to a couple short things I've got to talk about before the interview. So let's get on to that. What do you think? We are going to stay in the beautiful state of California, Jim. Why not? California urges avoiding charging electric cards to ward off blackouts in heat wave because state loses solar power. Wait for it. When the sun goes down.
Huh.
I was unaware you lost solar power at night.
Wow.
Okay. Now, just days after passing their most ridiculous of bans on fossil-fueled vehicles,
Lord.
California is urging residents to avoid charging their electric vehicles during peak hours in the coming week to help ward off blackouts during an unexpected heat wave. Unexpected in the
I think every year
summer,
they have unexpected heat waves.
Unexpected heat wave in the summer in California. Very unexpected. Nobody could see this coming.
They do this. They do this every summer. Don't give me this shit.
Every year they do it. Every year. California Independent System Operator that manages the electric grid for about 80% of the Golden State warns the power system is expected to come under strain as homeowners and businesses crank up the air conditioning units. Weather forecasters expect temperatures to climb on Wednesday and intensify through the start of next week. Peak load for electricity is currently projected to exceed 48,000 megawatts on Labor Day, the highest of the year, said the system operator, known as the California ISO for short, in a heat bulletin released late Tuesday. For perspective, 48,000 megawatts is about 14% higher than normal. Okay? If the weather or grid conditions worsen, the ISO bulletin said the grid manager may issue a series of emergencies notifications to access additional resources and prepare market participants and the public for potentially energy shortages and the need to conserve. That could well mean issuing a flex alert, a statewide request for customers to voluntarily reduce energy consumption from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those are the hours when California's grid is under the most pressure because production from solar decreases and eventually disappears in the evening hours. Jim, is this something they missed when they were pushing solar energy? I mean, did some research say, "Oh my God"?
And again,
Joe, how did you miss that portion?
I don't know a whole lot about solar energy, but isn't the whole point you're supposed to generate it, and it stores
harvest it.
It
right?
stores.
You're harvesting it.
Because what's the point?
Harvesting power.
I mean, no, because like you said, the sun goes down.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
It goes bye-bye.
Everywhere.
It goes bye-bye, apparently.
And
everywhere.
Well, I guess in Alaska, I think they have days where.
Yeah.
But,
well, not very warm, but
so I always assumed that that's what this is for. It generates, stores the electricity for days you don't have sun, because that does happen.
Correct.
At least,
at
least here in the flyover states, we have, during the winter. What's that bright thing up in the sky? We don't know what it is.
That's
sometimes.
what I'm saying.
So
I'm saying.
they know this is all horse shit.
stupid.
They don't have the infrastructure to handle everything, and they keep pushing it, and they're not doing a damn thing to fix the infrastructure. Folks, they have this every year. We hear about it all the time. Rolling blackouts in California. Rolling blackout. It's every year. Now you're mandating more strain on your grid because you want everybody to have electric cars. And
that's right.
One of the jokes I saw on that was, 2035. He said, "Well, the reason they want to do that is because you can't haul a trailer with an electric vehicle, so you can't move." So that'll slow people from leaving California.
That'll slow leaving California. That's right. You can't put an electric vehicle.
Guys, get the hell out.
Yeah.
I mean, Hollywood elitists, you want to stay there in LA, that's fine. I don't care. That's your choice. But if you're an average, normal person, get the hell out.
They have to gradually electrify their fleet on new vehicles, beginning with 35% of the vehicles in 2026. So people are saying, this is 2035 or whatever, but or 2036. But 35% of their vehicles have to be electric in 2026. That's model sold. That's increasing to 68% in 2030 and full-blown 100% in 2035. As of this year, about 16% of all new car sales in California are zero-emission vehicles, twice of what it was in 2020. So, guys,
can I ask you a question?
That's just bullshit. Yeah.
And maybe we're going to overthink this, Dale, because it does happen because you and I use logic sometimes.
We do sometimes.
I hate it when it says this electric vehicle is zero emissions.
Me too.
Mm-hmm. Did you see what it costs to mine the product to make? That's probably more emissions than my SUV.
Coal.
Yeah. I hate it when it says, it's a zero emission car. How many emissions did you spend trying
initially
to build it?
Trying to make the zero.
It's like Leonardo DiCaprio. He gets these awards for loving the continent, loving the planet, loving it. Yeah. But he flies around his private jet. Apparently, it's an electric jet.
Harrison Ford, all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen,
it's a sham.
Can't get into this.
It's a joke.
I can't get into this story because of time, but just briefly, staying in California, UC Berkeley, that highly conservative.
Very conservative. Yeah.
Yeah, very conservative. They are implementing a mask mandate again.
Yeah, I think we're doing an on.
Why are they doing
this?
We're
doing a show from there.
Yeah.
They've invited us.
Why are they doing it?
Because they're idiots.
No. But for what reason, though, Jim? What do you really think the reason is here? I'll tell you why.
Is there another variant coming out?
No. It has nothing to do with COVID. If you are unvaccinated from the flu, you are mandated to wear a mask at UC Berkeley.
And how will they know this?
You didn't get a flu vaccine. You got to show proof at UC Berkeley. Flu now. Now it's flu. So you tell me when this shit's, like you said, shit, the wind blows east from west to east. Tell me when this starts happening in a town near you.
I'm going to have to drop out of school.
No, you're going to have to get
a
flu shot.
I never get it.
I never get it. And they're not injecting another damn thing in me. That's it. So, Jim, listen, running late. Let's get to our interview with Alyssa Hines, the vice chair for the Hillsborough County, Florida, Tampa area, Moms for Liberty chapter. I ahead of time, I apologize for sound quality on Alyssa's end. It just comes in and out a little bit. It gets kind of dull and muffled, but then loud. And then there's nothing else I could do about that. But you'll get the gist of the entire conversation and you'll be able to hear it.
And we're still looking for free producers out there. If anybody,
Jim, what are you saying? Are you saying
to help
skill level?
Nope. It will help alleviate some stress that you have because let's face it, you're the show. You are the show. You don't need me.
Oh, thanks, Jim. Yeah. Jim, I need you. You completely. I told you that 100 times. I am Jimosexual.
Here we go. Dalosexual and Jimosexual. We just created some. Those attracted to Jims and Dales.
There's going to be a lot of those folks out there, Jim. Let's be honest.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
look
right.
at these beautiful.
I mean, how
mugs.
could you not?
How can you not? Alyssa, I apologize for this introduction. Anyways, listen to Alyssa. We'll be back, as always, to wrap this up when it's over. Well, we are very happy to have with us today Alyssa Hines. Alyssa Hines is the vice chair for the Moms for Liberty Hillsborough County, Florida chapter. For those who don't know, Hillsborough is the Tampa area, and it's a pretty big county, covers a pretty large area, but that's the city everyone will know down there. Alyssa is a mother of two, married mother of two, 5-year-old daughter, 3-year-old son. She's originally from New York and gladly moved from there to Tampa, Florida back in 2011. She started getting involved in the fight for parent rights when she had her child in preschool, and the preschool would, one, not let her in, two, wanted to mask her preschooler, which is just nuts. We'll go in deeper to that. That's when she kind of became very interested in the Parent Bill of Rights, which we'll go into, and also got involved in Moms for Liberty in July of 2021. That's kind of when she realized how deep this really is. It went well beyond masks and masks mandates. We will also go into that. Alyssa, again, thank you very much for coming on. We're super happy to have you here. Jim and I follow, obviously, a lot of the Moms for Liberty groups. We follow Hillsborough County. You're very involved in that chapter. We see you post a lot of stuff, but I want you to kind of go in briefly to what your story is and why this was so important to get involved in a group like Moms for Liberty.
Yeah, thank you. So back in July 2021, I started, seeing some people's posts about things. I'm like, okay, up until that point, we weren't really affected by mask mandates. I mean, our kids were home, we just kind of, going to grocery stores and stuff and just didn't have our mask on. We weren't really worried about it. And then we started going to preschool, and we were told that it was mandatory for our 2-year-old to wear a mask into a building that we weren't allowed in, that he wasn't allowed in beforehand, and everyone in the building would be wearing a mask, includes teachers, other students. And so he would be going into this brand new building with these people that he couldn't tell their emotions. He couldn't, see their faces, and he's only 2. And so I started, figuring out what our options were. The director was very strict on the fact that there were mask mandates, and that was just the rule, and we couldn't go inside to help the spread of germs, and they are just going to take our son the first day of school and bring him inside and see how it goes. Well, I started looking into the Parents' Bill of Rights, and I actually reached out to our state Florida Department of Education and DeSantis' office, and they helped, they gave us a certified letter that said, no, you can't mask up a 2-year-old, pretty much. And I fought with the director of our school, and finally I gave her the Parents' Bill of Rights and this letter, and she changed it, making it an option. She at first did tell me she thinks I took things a little too far, but at the end of the day, it made it an option.
Which is crazy to me that she would say that. Masking wasn't too far.
And it's not like, I wasn't posting up signs and picketing in front of the school. All I did was simply give her a letter and say, we will not be putting a mask on our son. We lasted about a week once we were in the school, realizing that, we were treated differently after that. My son wasn't really in many pictures, during the day, class time. And then parents also, felt like they needed to tell me that I was putting their families at risk with not sending my son to school, just giving other families an option.
Just stupid.
And so, thankfully we found another preschool, and they're great and they're amazing. And he just loved it so much there. And we were just so blessed to find that one. But it was just a little crazy that we felt outnumbered, and that parents just didn't know that they have rights. Their rights don't end at the entrance of a school. And they don't lose rights for 8 hours and then get it back at the end of the day when it's time to feed them and put them to bed. You have rights inside those buildings also. And that's when I really started getting involved with trying to get other people to know that, they have those rights. I remember a story, me and my kids, we went to a grocery store and we bumped into some friends in the grocery store, and we're just talking to them, and they have their masks on. And one of the grocery store employees comes up with masks, and he just say, "Would you guys like a mask?" I said, "No, thank you," and he walked away. Well, that mom, she didn't know. She looks at me. She goes, "You can do that? You can just say no?" I'm like, yes.
Of course.
Again, I'm not making a fuss. I was very polite. I said no, and he moved on, and everyone moved on about their day.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, afterwards, I sat in my car, and I was just like, this is amazing. I have to tell other people about this. It amazes me that parents just don't know those things. And finding Moms for Liberty, I think it just helps build that, that fire in your heart, knowing you're doing the right thing. But surrounding yourself with like-minded people who, fight for their kids and their liberties, and understand that that's something worth fighting for.
Sure.
I think is part of the reason why Moms for Liberty grew and is growing so fast, is because people up until this point were just afraid to even question whether they were allowed to question things they didn't know.
Yep. Correct.
Yep.
And, thankfully now, we love our schools that we go to. We have my daughter's in first grade at a private school now, and from day one, we found this school. We love the school because from day one, they've always made it optional. I mean, we still have families that send their kids in masks, and some of these kids still are wearing masks, and that's perfectly fine. We just, if that makes you feel comfortable and that's what you want to do with your family, go ahead. But I think what we fight with, and what people seem to misunderstand, that they think we're fighting against masks. We are fighting against mandates. We're fighting against choice, because this is our family. It was our choice how we raise them and how we want them to go out into the world. And I think people who, were on the other side of things don't really understand. It kind of gets lost in the, the shuffle of everything, I think. Then once Moms for Liberty started in our county, and then we started looking into what other things that are, happening, and getting these kids are indoctrinated in our schools with, different books and reading assignments and writing assignments, and even math problems that, have indoctrinating verbiage and material. And it just blows my mind that once you start going down those rabbit holes, it really wakes you up into knowing that I know for me, even though our kids are in private school, to me, I feel like they are protected by a school that, they love, they love parents, they love parental rights, they want involvement, they, love America. And I know that they're protected while we are out here fighting for other children.
Which is great. You're fortunate. Very, very
yes,
fortunate.
we are our family is very blessed to have somewhere that I feel, at least for 8 hours a day, we are on the same team. Me and our school, we're on the same team. We are protecting them. We're protecting their innocence. And then meanwhile, we still have to go out and, fight for other people's kids who, again, because parents just don't know.
Yep. Correct. It's strange to me, Alyssa, because I don't recall. Now, Jim and I both have adult children. So and then, my youngest.
Well, they're adult age.
Yeah, of age, adult. But my youngest graduated high school in 2013. So that's how long ago. And I don't recall ever not feeling like I didn't have a right to be in the school or be involved or this came on so suddenly to me and so fast. I think it all did kind of start with this COVID, even though I think some of the stuff was implemented before then. But it was another way to control them. It just was frightening. I never felt like I didn't have that control. Jim, you got a question?
One of the things that we've been finding interviewing the Moms for Liberty members, chapter chairs, actually state district chairs. One of the things we've found are these interviews, what you call these nice little surveys that they fill out. And some of the information that we find are very disturbing in general, because it talks about the pronouns. What pronoun do you want to use? And then it comes back and said, when we refer to you in front of your parents, what pronoun do you want us to? And then probably the most disturbing thing of that was your personal email. Now, they've asked for the kids' personal, not the school's email that every kid gets, but personal. As you, in York County, and you're coming in, because we know the mask mandate started everything, and now every now community is seeing these SELs and this transgender movement falling in. Have you seen any, I don't want to have a yes or no question, but are there any issues in your area that you know of from surveys like this that it just aggravates parents in general?
Yeah, I know. I don't have the specific details of which, but I know some kids were given a survey in school. The ones who do school online were not given that survey because they did not want them to be online at home doing them. I don't exactly know all the questions that were given to say some of the students, but I know some of the kids was what brought to our attention that they didn't feel necessarily comfortable answering some of the questions, and so their parents advised them not to. But even the fact that those were even an option.
Correct.
I know, like, we did, some of the elementary parents in our county did receive a opt-out form. It didn't have many details on it, but it was, how to, if you'd like to opt out of some material in the classroom, this is your, your chance to do so. To me, that's, still a little on the borderline of, just if the parent looks over this form, now they don't have that opportunity to, opt out or,
Correct.
And it doesn't really give many details of what they're opting out of. I think that it's just very borderline. There, a lot of these new bills and statutes are coming into play, and then they're just very borderline, trying to get by with the bare minimum of doing what they need to do,
Correct.
to be okay, to be accepted.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that we know based on Facebook posts from Hillsborough County is the county has been very involved in, and we'll go into this very uncomfortable discussion of the books and whether it's even like critical race theory or any of this SEL garbage that's out there. But it's very sexually explicit books for K through 12, K through 8. It varies. You even got 8 through 12 grades, which is still ridiculous. But you guys are seeing your fair share of that, I think. There. Is it getting better? I mean, tell us a little bit about it. Is there hope for these parents out there that this stuff is going to be out?
There's always hope, hopefully. I always try to, there's definitely those days that you go to the school board meeting and, you speak. We had one school board meeting where there was, maybe 5 or 6 or maybe even more of us speaking and reading from these terrible books. Well, then we sit down after public comment and the school board decides to go around and applaud the media specialists for all the hard work they do and say how important it is that reading happens in education. And I think those are the times that it gets hard. But I think, yes. And you're just like, did we speak? You start questioning yourself whether you were there.
Correct.
Did they hear the same things that you said, that other people said? And it gets a little frightening because it's not easy for moms to go up there and stand in front of these people that disagree with them on every level of this stuff, and then to be completely ignored afterwards. But we do, thankfully for our state and our Department of Education that they, the legislation, they're putting things into place to help make it a little easier for our fight.
Correct.
Hillsborough County is the 7th largest county in the country and 3rd largest in our state, and like you said, we have over 300 schools in this district. So we have a big fight ahead. We have between, not just, about sexual content or racist books, but just inappropriate books in general. There's a list of, over 150 in our school district. So we do, we try to not overwhelm ourselves and just kind of, find the books that we feel just 100% should be out of there right away. And those are the ones we try to work on first. There's a book, I don't know if you guys have seen it. It's called This Book is Gay. It's a book that,
I mean, so the title pretty much tells me. So,
and again, like the sexual orientation of the book doesn't really, to me, it doesn't have any effect on whether the book should be in our school or not. It's the fact that it's a book. There's instruction in there about how to, do certain things, and they make it all very kid friendly. They call a blowjob a blowy, and
God.
They give you instructions on how to clean your but to make sure, when you're prepared for
No,
anal
no, no,
sex, I'm like,
I had not heard this, Alyssa. I had
yes,
not.
yes.
This is it in the school.
It's in a middle
man.
school and high schools.
Oh my
And
Lord.
there's even a part in there that instructs them how. I don't know if you guys have heard. I didn't know about this app until recently. There's an app called Grindr, and it's like Tinder, but it's for gay people to go on and find other gay people in their local communities to meet up and have sex. Well, this book it has instructions for kids how to create a sex app profile and how to find local people to meet up with in your community to have sex.
For 8th grade, for middle school.
It's in a middle school and high school.
And it's for minors. It's this is
I mean, and it like I said, it's very kid friendly. The words that they use, they call it sexy fun time.
Oh my gosh!
They have
cartoons in there.
Yes, they have diagrams and drawings. There's a diagram of a man, and it shows all his different pleasure spots and how to do things.
No way.
There's even in there a couple stories about a 16-year-old boy who goes into I think it's a guitar shop or a music shop and meets the person who works there, and he's a married man, and they start having sexual relations.
Come on.
And it's all in these books, and this is what a lot of people call us so many different types of names when we fight these books. Whether it's homophobic or racist or fascist or Nazis or whatever. Again, it has no the sexual orientation of this book is not the issue. It's the fact that it's sexual instruction. If you go onto our Hillsborough County Public School library catalog website and you type in, this is a genre for books, it's sex instruction for children, and 20 books come up, 20 pieces of content that come up with that type of genre. And to me, that right there should raise a red flag instantly. Those books should not be in our schools because there's zero reason for sex instruction for children in any age because they're all still children.
Correct. Yep. Correct.
But when we hear from the media specialists that it accommodates the needs of the community, which is very scary because then you question what your community needs that to be accommodated for.
The only need that it satisfies are sexual predator needs.
Yes,
correct.
That's what it satisfies because that's what this is doing. It's Dale and I've talked about this many times. It opens up a whole nother avenue for sexual predators to come in.
Yes, I mean it makes these kids almost numb to this type of I when I started doing this and going to school meetings and reading these books, I was reading one of the books to my husband, and he goes, "You need to stop. I don't feel comfortable with this." And we're an adult, we're married, and we're adults, and we don't feel comfortable reading this stuff. Yeah, these kids are, supposed to be able to be, be fine with reading this. I remember one time I asked one of the counselors for Hillsborough County Public Schools, and I said, "What do you do in a case that a child reads one of these books and then has do you have someone there to counsel them after and talk to them about what they've read?" Or do you, just let them, they are fine. And she goes, "Oh, we've never had that problem." And I'm thinking, I need counseling after I've read some of these books.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I mean.
No, these kids shouldn't, they need help, they need help learning the ways of different math situations and different, math problems and history lessons, but give them a book about, sexual instruction and they're good to go.
No. Wow.
And it's just very,
Listen, that's the craziest. I had briefly heard about the title of that book. I had no idea, honestly, what was involved in the insides of that book. And then for them to give them instructions on how to set up a dating profile to minors, I don't even. Who are these media specialists and who hires them? Are they elected positions or are they hired from the school board or the superintendent, or how do they get in these positions?
So they are hired. They do supposedly once you want to report a book for reconsideration, they create a committee, which they refuse to tell us who's on these committees.
Sure.
We've actually asked to be on these committees. It's, they say, yeah, go ahead, find your local school and you can be on that committee. And I'm thinking, we have over 300 schools in our district. Our kids go to school. The kids in my neighborhood might not necessarily go to the schools in my neighborhood.
Sure.
So it's hard to, just pinpoint one school to do this at because over 300 of them, we have, there's lots of work to do on these schools.
Lots of it. Yeah.
That's kind of where we've also come up with a lot of, our issues with trying to go after these books, because they've made it very difficult. Like I said, over 300 schools in our district, they expect us to go to each school and fight each book individually, meet with the media specialist or talk to the media specialist. Then they will give us a form, fill out the form, and then we have to give it back to that one media specialist, and they have 7 days to convene with their committee and 30 days to respond to us.
Yeah.
One book, one at a time, at each school.
Wow. I got a better idea. Give a list of books to the media specialists and have them remove them.
Yeah.
I mean, they agree that they're there for a reason. They help accommodate the community. What we have,
those people should register as predators to me.
Yes. And what's very frustrating.
Yeah. That's just incredible. I need to go on record and say we apologize for Jim's dog. He's got a little puppy. He's
sorry.
Unfortunately in charge of it this morning. So if you hear that, that's they just got a brand new puppy. So, Alyssa, I'm just, that whole subject matter just baffles me, because I can't see how an adult can justify that being okay within the school system, which then leads to them being okay with calling them different pronouns and then talking to them about their gender identity. We have story after story. We hear it every single day that this is going on across the country in schools all around. And Jim and I talk about it all the time. These people are not qualified to speak to them about this stuff. That is not who they are. And then the fact that they're just leaving parents out of the equation just, makes it even worse. This is the craziest stuff. Like I said, is that book still there? Is that book still?
Yeah.
They have not removed that.
No, they said, they keep just referring back to there's a policy in place. You can write the review or, so we're waiting on the form to fill it out. And hopefully then we have a 7-day timeline and then a 30-day timeline. And again, I think what people misunderstand is Moms for Liberty. We are just trying to have these books vetted out of our schools. If you want to bring your child to the bookstore and purchase this book, or go to the public library, go ahead. But in a public school where a parent isn't there to protect them or answer questions that can be very uncomfortable, that, you don't necessarily want to ask a stranger or a teacher or a friend, because, in middle school, especially, you're going through different things yourself that you don't want to, talk about necessarily to strangers or a teacher. Very confusing time.
Yeah, confusing age group anyways.
And how many public libraries would actually have these books?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's probably some of them that would think, well, this is child pornography. We can't have this.
Yeah, I know. I've looked at my local, public city library, and a lot of these books are in there, which I'm not super thrilled about. But, again, that's a public, out of the schools. If a parent really feels the need, they want to go there, it's their choice. It's their choice to show that to their children. Go ahead. It's a lot of the similar arguments with people who argue against us is, kids are going to be online anyway and see this stuff. Like, no, it's your job as a parent to also not allow them to roam the internet. These are kids.
That's right.
Are you going to just let them roam around the streets? No, you're going to direct them to stay on the sidewalk. You can't just give them the internet and say, here you go. I trust that you're not going to run into the street. You're a child.
Yeah, you're a child. Yep.
And so I think that's where people misunderstand, they're just, to me, they've almost given up. Like, the teachers have it. It's they've trusted the teachers, and and there are very good teachers out there.
Sure.
I have lots of friends who are teachers. We love them. But, anytime you group any type of people together, there's always going to be those bad apples that are trying to indoctrinate our children. And unfortunately, that's just what we're kind of seeing more and more.
Oh, for sure they are. And I hate harping back to this media specialist people, but this is kind of a new thing for me, right? The whole media specialist title and the person in charge of that. So I don't know a lot about it. So I'm kind of looking to gain some more knowledge. Somebody's got to order the book, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody ordered the book, or it came in. A lot of times we hear that they'll be included in in a batch of books that comes like, oh, here's some, thank you for ordering from us. Here's some free books for you. You know, so maybe that's the case. I don't know. But then is it the media specialist who reviews the books and then approves them for the school?
Yes, and it gets a little tricky again because when we want to file our reconsideration form, we have to check the box that says we've read this book in its entirety. So we've read it cover to cover, we've read it. However, media specialists, all they have to do is go online and look at reviews of the book. They don't necessarily have to even open the book.
This is crazy.
This specific media specialist, she actually said that she approves of this book. So she personally put this book on the shelves of the middle school.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry that this just shocks me that this is allowed to have like somebody. So what you need, obviously, can they fire that person? And who does that? Is it the superintendent or the school board, or who's the media specialist employed by? The city? I mean, is it
it's a public school. Yeah, it's a public school, employees. So the school board, the principals. There are two main media specialists that lead, the elementary side of it and the, 6th through 12th grade my side of it. And so they kind of look over and oversee the media specialists at each individual school. So
a school board change sounds like it's necessary in Hillsborough County. Okay. So Jim and I talk a lot about that. Of course, you saw the recent elections in Florida and the effect Moms for Liberty had on those elections, which was incredible. I mean, they're just, from Sarasota to up in Clay County to Miami-Dade, which shocks me, which is amazing. That's the effect it's having, and people are noticing. You guys just recently had an election there as well, right?
Yep.
Hillsborough. Unfortunately, didn't go exactly the way you wanted it to, but you still have two. How many board members are there?
There are
total?
Six.
Six and you
total.
have two that are on your side, right? You had mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
We did, out of the three races, we won two seats that were staying. So we kept two seats, and we did lose the district seat with district 6 seat, which is a countywide seat. So that was a little tough for us, but
yeah, that is.
So it won't slow us down any, that's for sure.
Oh, no. We know you, we know the group, we know many people in it. It just makes them stronger, honestly, with things like this. Wow, it's just craziness. So, Jim, do you got anything to add? I've been going on about this damn media specialist that just is aggravating me to death.
One quick question that I have, because Dale and I kind of penned this new term. So if somebody steals it, then dang it. But we call it the new bullying, and it's actually allowable bullying. And it's the opposite of what you would think. It's these kids that are being singled out because they feel differently, that I don't need to call you him. I don't need to call you her. You are this name. You are that name. Not that they're bullying themselves. They're just saying, hey, this is how I feel. Well, now we have seen where there's teachers coming out and these kids are getting suspended, being sent home for not not respecting other people's opinions when no one's respecting this person. So we call it the acceptable bullying now. And it is from what we have seen in some schools, it's getting really bad. Are you seeing that? Is that something is there anything that you have witnessed or anybody has talked to you about, or does this surprise you?
I just know it gives us a little more, to, light our fire and to keep going. I have noticed that, some kids, parents will come up to us and, ask us to, they found this assignment in their classroom or this book, or, teachers have signs in their classroom that say, we read banned books, which, obviously we all know what that means. It's implied in the sign. And
sure.
But we also have students that, have said something, but say, we're afraid to be retaliated against or to treated differently by our friends or our teachers or even administrators. And it's just sad because those, these kids, they're very impressionable and, they're very peer approved minded. I don't know if that makes sense. But they, you know,
sure it does.
They know it's wrong. But they're too, you know, they're kids, they're teenagers, they're, you know, middle school kids that they still need approval from their friends, and they need, you know, but so it's sad that they are kind of losing their confidence in standing up for something that's wrong because they are being treated differently.
Correct. Yeah.
However, you know, the other side of things, you know, if you want to act differently, it's okay. You just have to approve everyone. You have to, you know, agree with everyone, what everyone says. And that's also not, you know, what high school and middle school is all about. You have to create your own self, your own personality.
Right.
And that's part of the experience. And unfortunately, I think a lot of these kids are losing that opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well put. It's the form of, we talk about it all the time, the Marxism or socialism or communism, where they take control over your children, leave you out of the equation because that's not important to them. They take control over that group, which then allows them to, I don't know, what's the word, kind of, in a way, I guess, agree with whatever their agenda is going to be for life. That's the whole, you're not allowed to say the word grooming process of it all. But Alyssa, this is craziness. I myself learned a ton today.
Well, every time we interview, we always learn something new. And
I learned something new every time. I've seen the media specialist kind of term thrown around, and there are good ones, there are bad ones, just like every group. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. But I really need to dig deep into that. That's a lot of control to me. A person has over what your children are seeing and reading out there. What's the qualification to be a media specialist? I don't even know that. You know,
well,
it seems like nothing.
And if these people out in the public, okay, if they would bring these books just to a child walking down the street and hand them this book,
you'd be arrested.
They would be arrested for child pornography or child endangerment or whatever. And now we are actually allowing child pornography and child endangerment in our public schools, and it's infuriating.
Oh my God, is it? Yeah, it definitely is. Alyssa, I'm going to give you the last word. How can people join the Moms for Liberty Hillsborough County if they're listening in that area, or Moms for Liberty in general, if you want to tell them?
Website or on any other Facebook pages. Find your local chapter and fill out the online application, or just ask to be a part of their Facebook group. And then also, if there's not one in your county, they usually do it based on counties is how they start the chapter, but just start your own. Reach out to Moms for Liberty. They're great. They help out so much, at the national level. They are so helpful with everything that we do and all of our goals, and encouraging. So just reach out to them and see what you can do. In Hillsborough County itself, you can always reach out to me on, our Facebook or our email. Our chapter chair, Jessica, who's just phenomenal. She is very helpful with everything, encourages and, can direct you to everything in our group. Or if you want to, help with any type of thing in our chapter or ask questions. Any of us are very helpful with that. Again, I think we just really want to stress that a lot of, the negativity around Moms for Liberty is, we love public school systems that, are going to teach our children to read and write and history. And we love those teachers and we want to support those teachers also. So if they ever have any concerns or questions, they can always reach out to us also. And, we can try to help them the best we can. Cause I know sometimes it, can be a little scary as a teacher going against the grain as well.
Sure it can. Well, so. Alyssa, thank you for taking the rocks and arrows and bullets that you do, because we know it's a fight out there. All of you are fighting, and what's impressive is just the nonstop attitude that Moms for Liberty has, because they will not stop until this is resolved. Right. Not a one of them, and you're just
stop too much until we know our kids are protected and safe. So
you've got that. Yeah, that's normal. That's the way it should be. But we thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. Thank you again for continuing the fight. We'll keep in touch. We see you online. If you have anything else that you want to address, please feel free to come back anytime, honestly.
And we actually have a school board meeting this tonight. If you guys want to, so you guys we'll post some of those videos up in our group, and you can come check it out. And we're actually talking about the book we spoke about today in our talk. So it'll be an exciting meeting.
We will. I will follow that tonight, and then if you do have any videos, I will post them on the show so people can hear it and all that because they need to. But yeah, I'm definitely going to watch. Wow, that's going to be interesting.
Getting all the word out there, I think that's what helps spread. Bring awareness to everyone and get them involved because they hear shows like this that have the courage to go against the rest of the world.
It's literally the least we could do because we're so on board with the message, and the more and more we learn, the more frustrated we get too. So we want to make sure we keep doing what we're doing as well. Alyssa, thank you again. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah, you were great. Thank you for sharing the stories with us. Again, like I said, I learned crazy stuff that I didn't even know about, which I do appreciate. And thank you for sharing it with our audience. And come back anytime. We look forward to it. Jim, I can't thank Alyssa enough for coming on. Again, I wish the sound quality was a little better, but I think you got the gist of it, everybody. And I was highly, highly, highly focused because I don't understand it on these media assholes that are in charge of everything your kids get to read out there. I mean, and then you heard her explanation of that book that is still there. And you heard kind of her comfort, how uncomfortable it was for her to talk about it. So I appreciate her
pornographic content to children. That's how we like to say it.
So the media child predators that are in charge of okaying that. Listen, again, it's not the even title of this book is gay. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's, I believe there are gay kids in high school. There are gay kids, like we've talked about,
And I don't think they need play-by-play from a school.
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't think they need it.
They do not. And they do not need also how to teach them how to download and create a Grindr app. Or do they need to see stories about adults having gay sex with minors? You heard what's in the book. Yep. It's no lie. You can go look it up if you want. Yep. This is in the long-haired dude. Come on, man!
That we talked to teacher-wise. Well, now you have it. It's in your district. So there you go.
Who said it's not in his district. That is not happening. He physically told us, I wish I'd have had that information. Yep. Then when we were talking to the freak, I'm sure we'll see him again someday, Jim. But yeah, he insisted that none of that was happening. And you all heard that.
You notice something else we discovered with interviewing with Alyssa.
What's that?
Again, another member of Moms for Liberty that is not at all what the left likes to portray them as.
No.
Very caring, passionate people. Okay, I want to say people because it's not just men and it's not just women. It's men and women and grandmas and all this stuff. A lot more
men are joining now, which is phenomenal.
But they're wonderful people. I mean, they are wonderful people and passionate and brave. I mean, guys, you don't hear the stuff we hear, okay, because we don't feel like we want to share their personal stuff. But there's threats being made against them, their families, their spouses with their jobs.
Yep.
I mean,
because they care about kids in school and what they're being taught.
And it's just misrepresented by the media. It's just being misrepresented and by these idiots.
The administration.
Yeah. Because
by the Biden administration.
And apparently when you say some teachers, they don't hear the some. They hear all.
Yep.
And
keep in mind though, I mean, Alyssa, she got involved. The only reason she really got involved with this is because they wanted to mask her preschooler. Her 2-year-old son. They wanted to mask him. Does anybody, if you agree with that, you are severely mental. Yeah. I mean, you have got mental issues if you agree with masking a 2-year-old.
In Moms for Liberty are the future women leaders of this country, and not just them. I know there's other great groups out there that also, but we just happen to have a close relationship with Moms for Liberty. They're all great, and they're the ones that are making a stance. These are the women that are truly women.
There.
God bless
the
Alyssa
heroes out there.
and her fight, and continue the fight. We'll help, as we say before, we'll help you any way we can. And
everyone.
So
in the
we're
group
going to
will
continue to
help
talk to Moms for Liberty people because they believe folks, what we believe, and
you see it's happening. It's not. This isn't resolved. Like we talked about how they're, the SEL and the CRT, and they're going through the books, and now the whole big thing is transgender, and gender identity and gender dysphoria within the schools. But now you go back to Alyssa, and they're still battling the damn books. They can't even get this book removed.
Right.
That is highly descriptive and inappropriate for middle schoolers.
And good point, because you heard what it takes to get rid of a book.
You did.
It's not. It has to be given to each individual library.
Yep.
It can't be a mass thing. Right. Hey guys, we got to check these books.
Yep. Exactly. And they have to read it front to back, where the media pedophile only has to look at reviews of the book. You heard that. I hope you heard that loud and clear in that. But Alyssa, thank you again for coming on. She was amazing. It's truly amazing.
From a standpoint of kind of maybe a little of a joking standpoint here. If you want to know what it's like to do this, we have some people that you and I battle with that listen to our show. They're very close to us. We talk about them on the show. I want them to take these books out into the street and hand them to 12 and 13-year-old kids as they're walking down the street.
Yep.
And hand it to them.
Yep.
I guarantee you they get in trouble for distribution of child pornography.
No,
those two individuals, they probably know who they are. I don't want to say who they are, but we talk about them a lot.
We do.
One on my side, one on Dale's side.
Yeah, we talk about them.
But we would never do that because they would be arrested. And hopefully they'd be smart enough not to do it.
But I'm going to tell you what. Next time I see long-haired freaky idiot, and I feel there will be a next time, I'm going to ask him to do that. I'm going to. Here's the book. You can purchase it. You can even take it out from your public library. I want you to go hand it to a little child. I want you to go hand it to a 12-year-old. And make sure their parents are there so they know exactly what you're doing. Don't secretly do it, because that's what the schools are doing too. You hand it to them and then tell me if your long-haired hippie ass isn't thrown behind bars, as it should be. Just like the media specialist who approved it to me. What's different between them and a pedophile to me? I don't know.
We've talked about it. It doesn't make
We talked
sense,
about it.
man.
We talked about it. But anyways, Alyssa, thank you again.
Thank you.
Let's not forget Alyssa's the one who sold us all the great merch too down there. You can also buy this merch at momsforliberty.org. So go on there and get it. It helps the cause. That's for sure. And you see what they're battling against. Jim, I want to make kind of a brief announcement. We do have an interview next week that will be on next Tuesday's show. It's going to be a little different. It's not a Moms for Liberty person, but it is an elected position within the state of Florida. And that is the Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis. He is CFO for the state of Florida, and he's on Ron DeSantis's cabinet. And he's going to talk to us about the new 87,000 IRS employees and or agents, depending on how you look at it, that have been hired, and what Florida is planning to do to combat that. So seriously,
this
that
is a
will
must
be a
listen.
must
Absolutely
listen, because I think other states are probably going to follow suit once they figure it out. But we cannot wait for the CFO Patronis interview, and we can't wait for you folks to listen to it. So that's just look forward to it. It's going to be next Tuesday's episode. Folks, listen, we are going to have a Tuesday episode. We know Monday's Labor Day. Have a great Labor Day weekend, everybody. Be safe out there. Enjoy it. We may record before Labor Day. We don't know what our recording is going to be, but there will be a show on Tuesday, one way or the other, from us. But if I don't get the chance, Jim, have a great Labor Day yourself.
You too.
Thank you.
And also, too, you'll find out you won't get, hopefully for Dale, the Buckeyes win the game this weekend, because I have a lot of people that I know that will give me a ration of crap because, I don't think I I think I hide my feelings over my feeling about Notre Dame. I don't think I get it out there as much.
I don't think you do either, Jim. It's been a while since you really expressed your feelings.
If it was if Pittsburgh Steelers played the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I would want. I guess I'd want them both to lose.
Yeah, 0-0 tie.
Yeah.
0-0
so,
tie would work.
Sorry out there.
So college football season has begun, and it does start for Ohio State. So we'll see.
And we hope Dale's happy.
I think everybody hopes Dale's happy.
We want Dale to be happy. Yeah. Well, it is fun to see Dale not happy, though.
It's going to be bad.
It's going
to be a real brutal show if Dale isn't.
That show,
if things don't go well.
If it does happen, I might have to have some stories about Michigan football or something like that.
Jim, have a good weekend,
too,
or don't, or don't. I don't, whatever.
You and your family.
Yes, as you do as well, and wishing your son speedy recovery from a little minor oral surgery. I don't care. I would tell people's medical records, but wish him the best. Good luck to him. Good luck to you and your family. Have fun. Folks, we will see you again on Tuesday. Thank you for your continued support. Mark's going to tell you how to do it. Support him at the Conservative. And we are out. See you. Bye.
You've been listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast with Dale and Jim. Remember, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble and listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you like what you hear, go ahead and give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it, and it helps others find us when searching for podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and TikTok. Just search for Two Guys, One Coup. That's the number 2, guys, and the number 1, Coup, C-O-U-P. Thanks again for listening to the Two Guys, One Coup podcast, and God bless the United States of America.